So lately I've noticed that a number of YouTubers have made what's in my camera bag in 2024 videos. And I suspect it's probably because the camera gear release cycle is slow around this time of year. But I thought it would be fun to join the party anyways and make my own video about what I'm using here in early 2024. So let's go. So, in terms of bags, what am I using right now? The main bag I'm using is the Wotancraft Pilot 10 liter. I love the way it looks with this little accessory pouch that they sent me. It just looks rad. I love this clasp. Um, if I could get to work. I love this clasp. Someone called this the bag of the future. It's the way it looks. I think that's cool. But for me, the two reasons I'm using this over the Kelly Moore bag I used to use every day, this canvas guy here, is that it's got two bottle pockets here that are super stretchy and can hold most water bottles, which is huge. And then it's also modular on the inside. The Kelly Moore bag didn't really have water bottle pockets. That was the biggest problem. And then it only has three sort of spots for cameras, and they weren't nearly as customizable. So Wotancraft 10 liter bag, that's what I carry with me most days. But as it happens, on a day like today where I had three shoots where I needed actually three different camera systems, on my camera shoot only days where I don't have anything else to do, I use the Peter McKinnon backpack. It's the smaller guy that has the rad pirate logo on the back. Not a fanboy, just think it's a great bag. It kind of just fits the right amount of gear in the right amount of space and the form factor, and it's comfortable to wear. So something I kind of avoided for a while, but good job, Nomadic. You got me with this, and I'm happy I bought it, even though it was like $300 or something. So, in terms of everyday carry camera, the camera I use the most, it's the Fujifilm X100V. This is a rad little camera. I love the OVF, EVF on it. The lens is good enough. I wish it had distance scale on the lens so you could zone focus a little bit more easily, but you have a digital one on the back, so it's not terrible. It's got a joystick, push-in buttons. They're just doing a lot right with this camera. Almost certainly, if they come out with a X100V Mark II or whatever it'll be called, especially if it has the new 41 megapixel sensor and image stabilization, I would definitely upgrade and buy that camera. But in terms of everyday carry camera, I don't see this changing except to maybe upgrade the model. And I'm going to skip over full frame and come back to it. But the other thing that I have in my camera bag right now here in early 2024 is this. The Hasselblad 907X CFV Mark II 50C. This is my go-to medium format solution right now. As you can see in this video, I was very surprised, unpleasantly surprised, some might say, to find out that 2 days after I bought this camera, Hasselblad announced the 907X CFV 100C. But in looking at the specs of that camera, I don't really feel the need to upgrade to the new one. I like the color science better in this guy, and the new one doesn't have image stabilization. So I'm sticking with this, even though I totally could return it and get the new one. Not barring the price difference. Yes, I am picking this over the Fujifilm GFX 100 Mark II, even though I think for more people that camera is more useful. And I will make a whole medium format rant video about the two cameras and why I'm choosing this over the Fuji. But in terms of this video, for the purposes of this video, I'll say that a big thing is that I have a 500 cm. And so being able to combine these two, that's great. I've already saved some money getting my exposure right in digital and then switching to film and just shooting a frame or two on film, because medium format 120 film is freaking expensive. So this is the medium format setup. I also don't see this changing much in 2024. I don't think Leica is going to come out with a medium format camera in 2024. My guess, and this is just a theory, no one's told me this, I haven't read a rumor about this, is that obviously the 50 megapixel sensor only had contrast-based focus, so that's out. The new 100 megapixel sensors with phase detect are also quite old. They're kind of from the same generation as this sensor. And I think that's maybe in part why the autofocus on these medium format cameras, besides, the larger glass and focus motors being slower, et cetera, I think a large part of it is the sensor itself, the slow readout of the sensor. So I have to wonder if Leica's waiting for the next generation of medium format sensors to come out before they come out with their medium format camera. Or maybe they're making their own. That would be cool too. I believe they sort of designed their own. I had someone else manufacture it, but they designed their own special sensor for the S3. So maybe they're upgrading that, and that will take some time. But whatever the reason, I don't think Leica is coming out with any kind of a medium format system until 2025, maybe even 2026. So sticking with Hasselblad, despite the fact that I've had terrible experience with their customer service, part of my thinking is that because I'm using these 50C backs, I can replace them more cheaply and maybe avoid that. My partner has said it's kind of like going back to an abusive relationship, but I'm hoping I can just avoid the abuse and just not deal with their customer service. So finally, what am I using for full frame? Well, this is kind of the most interesting, I think, part, and where the most action might happen in 2024, where you're going to see the most videos that change what I'm about to talk about. So right now, I'm filming this video on the Panasonic S5 IIX, which is an L-mount camera. I'm also using the Nikon ZF quite a bit, and this has kind of become my everyday carry camera if I've got a bag like the Wotancraft bag with me. I really won't just carry this on its own. It's a little bit too heavy. It needs a strap like this awesome Wotancraft strap. If I'm like really intentionally taking photos and or I need autofocus that's bang on, this is the camera I'm using. Beyond just its total like excellent functionality, there's a couple of little things about the camera that have kind of like crept up on me that I really appreciate. For example, when you turn it on, boom, it just turns on. There's no startup period like there is with the S5 IIX or the lag even on this X100V or the medium format cameras. Just no lag pretty much, just kind of turns on, which is great. The shutter sound is a manly shutter sound. I really enjoy that, and I continue to enjoy the retro styling. So this camera is great, but it's a lower megapixel resolution sensor. If Nikon comes out with like a super premium version, the F3 red stripe or a rad rangefinder, and they fix the few things that kind of make this a little bit of a near miss, put a joystick on it, sensor protector, make it a little bit lighter, maybe a bigger grip, a little more ergonomic, I might go Nikon for full frame. But why this is a wild card, why the full frame area is a wild card is that, one, right now you might notice I don't have any Leica M cameras. I sold my Leica M11 monochrome. This has got a black and white mode that, gives me my Allen Schaller fix. I can adapt the 24mm Sumolux that I own with a NovaFlex adapter. Video about that up here. This has the retro vibes and kind of film era stuff that the M11s gave me. I'm wearing glasses more often lately, and the EVF works better than the M camera's viewfinder, optical viewfinder. So, for me right now, this is really working well in terms of full frame stuff. But if the rumors are true that Leica is going to come out with an M-style camera or like a Q interchangeable lens camera that has an OVF EVF switcher like this Fuji X100V and the X Pro cameras, that would definitely get me to switch like immediately, especially if it had image stabilization. I'm also kind of waiting to see what the SL3 is all about. That could be the camera that replaces the ZF. And maybe also the S5 IIX. In part why I got the S5 IIX is that it's L-mount and it would let me get a couple of lenses to be ready for when the SL3 comes out if I want to get it. And then also, another X factor is sort of the Fujifilm cameras. If the X Pro 4 is a banger, you never know. Maybe that's what I'll use. In some ways, I found the XH2S to be a better video camera than the S5 IIX for YouTube stuff. It was just the autofocus, the Fuji autofocus. If you see in some of my videos, you can see the hunting and the wobbling and stuff. So if the X Pro 4 and a similar camera fix that, I might get that for video and then use the X Pro 4 for photo. But I think also the Fuji focus issues there become an issue. You don't always nail focus with Fuji cameras, even though it has improved. So, there's definitely some action there in terms of a camera that's not a super light, just kind of fun, fixed, fixed focal, that's, everyday fun camera. And then the medium format beasts that I use most of the time, but, take time to make a good photo. So right now it's the ZF filming on the S5 II. If the SL3 isn't something that I want, the S5 II goes. I'll get another ZF and just use that to film these YouTube videos. Maybe Fujifilm will do something exciting and that would replace it. You never know. Maybe Canon will make a retro camera and that could replace it. So that, I think, is where the action is going to be in 2024, like I said. Okay, so bonus camera. Now, I have a rule that I barely ever actually follow. That I can only have 5 cameras at any one given time. And by 5, I mean 5 distinct camera body types, right? So, there's a couple of wiggle room spots. Like if I bought 2 ZFs, one for video, one for photo, or to double up for events or weddings, even though I'm not shooting a lot of that anymore, I would count that as one camera, really. I'm just being responsible having a backup. Sometimes I go back and forth. Maybe I count this as one camera, really, just medium format, film and digital, So depending on how you count, basically I'm at 5 cameras. The 2 Hasselblads, the Fuji X100V, the Nikon ZF, and then the Panasonic S5 IIX that I'm filming on. But I already need to bend that rule a little bit because I have one more camera. I have this Fujifilm X-T4. But this is no normal X-T4. If you've watched my videos comparing the Nikon ZF to the X-T4, neither camera totally did it for me. And I kind of lean toward the ZF, and now I'm definitely more towards the ZF. I have this not because it's a regular X-T4, even though it has the joystick and a couple other things that the ZF is missing. I have it because it's a full spectrum camera. Still kind of figuring out how to use it and make the most of that ability, infrared and all that. So I'll make a separate video on it, but I just wanted to mention it because then this does round out all of the cameras I own right now here in early 2024. Maybe this counts as like 0.5 of a camera, and I'll count the film camera as 0.5, so I'm at 5. I don't know. What do you think? Am I at 5 cameras? Do I really just own 6 cameras? And then also, what do you think about, this camera setup? What are you using for medium format, full frame, and then everyday or APS-C stuff? Is this still too many cameras? Do I have some more culling to do in terms of cameras? Could I live without some of this, maybe, and make my life even simpler? Let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.